And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, by special request. That was Ocean Avenue by Yellow Card and Slicer. We have the potential for an incredible match coming up.
Ooh, we have a little bit of a league difference again, but still, I mean, it's a PVZ, so that's pretty amazing. And we saw what happened in the last PVZ.
Yes, absolutely. So we have Overdose Gaming. We have Mercy, who is a Grandmaster, against Mikasa, who is Platinum and can do it.
Mikasa Sukasa?
Yes, Mikasa, Sukasa. And chat is already going nuts, hoping that Mikasa can pull this out. Nare even cheering. Gotta love that. Teammates supporting teammates. So let's take a look at the game, Slicer, and hope that we get something fantastic here. As we're going in the top left for Overdose Gaming, the GM, he is Mercy. And in the bottom right for Ignotiq Gaming, Platinum taking down the Titan David v Goliath, we have Mikasa. I like that name too.
Oh,
Just
cross
flows.
spawns on Frost. Ooh, cross spawns. I hope this gets epically late game. I really do.
That
I
is
love PvZ
probably
that much.
going to favor the Grandmaster player most of the time.
Yeah, more experience in the later games. As a Platinum League, you still have to deal with a lot of people with a lot of early pressure. I see it a lot in Grandmaster League that there is some early pressure sometimes, but it hurts your economy so much that it's almost not worth doing, especially if you know that they can defend it off. But hey, we may see some early pressure from Mikasa here, as Frost is not cross-spawn only. Everything's equal, and, well, Mikasa's just scouting to the top.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and follow this probe around, and what I would love to see is something like a 4-gate from Mercy just get completely shut down. I think that would warm my heart just a little bit. The first time I've ever said that I wanted to see a Protoss fail would be this time. But I don't think Mercy's going to do that. I think he's a good competitor, and he's not going to try anything cheesy. He's going to play this just like any other game, treat Mikasa with a good amount of that competitive respect, and we'll see what happens here.
Well, there's still a potential for it to be a 4-gate, but Mercy's using his buildings for an old school wall. That might hurt him really, but a really fast expand from Mikasa. Actually not really, he got his pull down first, which on a 4-player map, you'd think going hatch first would be a better idea.
Yep, and a little bit of a delay. Oh, he is going for a Nexus. I was going to say, that is a super late Cybernetics core if he's getting it, but it looks like he will throw down a fast Nexus instead.
This is something I've seen higher-end Protosses doing lately. They delay their Cybercore and delay their Warp Gate in favor of a faster Nexus, but you're delaying your tech a lot. I always feel like you need that Cybercore earlier, as well, I mean, I'm terrible at this game, but I've never had any problems with Zerg getting that base after I started my Cybernex core.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you just decide what you're going to put the priority on. You pretty much early defense against Zerg, either a Sentry or a Stalker, Mothership Core. You got to decide which one of those is most important, and if you need more than one or not. And it looks like Mikasa does not trust that this probe is truly going home, so he did split off one Zergling to go to the bottom of the map.
Yes, one of the two more powerful units, Mothership Core, probably is what influenced this build. With that Nexus Cannon being there, Warp Gate doesn't necessarily have to be done as fast as possible. And it can clean up anything fairly easily. A Roach push, 10 pool maybe, if you get it out fast enough. But, you know, I don't like it. I don't like delaying Warp Gate. It's been such a pivotal piece of technology for the Protoss Armada. It's hard to just delay it for so long.
I think one of the reasons it's just kind of one of those metagame things because, you know, Zergs just assume that Warp Gate is going to be up at a specific time, and if you think that Warp Gate is up, there are just some attacks that won't work because of the reinforcement. So because of that, Protoss is thinking, okay, because you have me, you know, so figured out, or so you think, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And interesting, a Stargate right at the front door, and the Zerglings are going to spot it. Nice little scout there.
This is something I've seen Huck do, actually, once or twice on the stream. He'll use the Stargate as a wall to either A, freak out their opponent so that they go anti-air, or B, he'll just go it anyway and try and make it work.
So we'll have to see. Mikasa gets the third base up pretty quickly, right? 6 minutes, 15 seconds roughly. That's going to go up. So definitely macroing up pretty hard, and we will have to see what the tech of choice is going to be. Now go ahead and adding on that layer.
Well, Mikasa's actually building a few, like one too many Zergling, although he does not expect any pressure. He does have a fairly okay vision of the map, although he does not know what Mercy's really going besides that Stargate, and hey, a Void Ray is being chrono boosted out.
Oh boy, and that could spell a little bit of trouble, but I have a slight feeling with more gases being added on. After seeing that, I can't imagine that he would go Muta, just because of the potential for Phoenix threat and just shutting down the Muta. I would have to guess that he's going Hydralisk, Slicer. What do you think?
I think after seeing that Stargate, Hydralisk are one of the top things you'd want to go as a Zerg player. Void Ray is not very good against them. The little prismatic alignment does not affect light units at all, as Hydralisk are. And, well, this Void Ray is just going to poke at some Zerglings.
Yeah, and most importantly, now Mikasa sees it for sure, and depending, might scout this third base. These Zerglings are kind of grouped up here. Might be able to get a nice little spot on it, and it looks like this... Oh, Overlord actually saw it.
Yes, the Overlord saw it right as it got thrown down. It was really good timing for Mikasa. But he did lose 2 Overlords. Did not supply block him, though. Mikasa doing a very good job staying on top of the Overlords. And, Danny, congratulations. There's a Hydra Den on the way.
Now I know what it feels like to be Slicer. Oh, and does it feel good? The answer is definitely yes.
Oh, I love this little bit of SimCity at Mercy's third. That cannon is completely protected, except for maybe a small little corner here. Oh, no, that's completely protected. And once that cannon gets up, unless you got, say, about 40 Hydras coming down on your opponent, then that's going to stay up for a while.
Yeah, and that nice little wall off just restricting movement is always very clutch against Zerg. Really helps Protoss. You can actually kind of stay out in this middle area and defend both bases very easily, except for potential backside attacks. So we'll have to see if he makes that a little too tight. It kind of depends, depending on the attacking angle. Then sometimes units can get stuck behind, etc. But we'll have to see, is now this hallucinated Phoenix is going to come in and see everything.
That hallucinated Phoenix is going to see the Hydralisk. It does see him pop. It does see the research happening. And there's not really much to take care of a bunch of Hydras here on Mercy's side.
Yeah, depending, potential big Hydra swing or swell, you could say, might do some damage here. And we'll have to see. Mikasa doing his best, adding on a fourth now, not feeling much pressure, so a 10-minute fourth for him. He wants to get that macro going, and I'm proud of him for doing this, stepping up to the plate, saying, all right, Grandmaster, typically you're probably better at macro and things, but I'm going to give you my best, and I still think I can win.
Well, he's playing from behind economically. Mercy's had this third base for a good amount of time. He threw it down at about the 8:30 mark, exactly where you want it to be if you want a quick third as a Protoss player. Mikasa's fourth is actually kind of late.
Looks like
we'll see.
We'll have to see, depending. These initial engagements are going to be oh so important. That hallucinated Phoenix missing it, and Mikasa's actually going to try to kind of go up the backside of this base, and with a complete wall off, it looks like on the top side of that base, he might be able to get a little something done here.
I think there's a small area above that gateway that's still passable. It's really, really hard to tell, like from any angle, but Zerglings may be able to run through there, and well, looks like it's just going straight for the Nexus.
Oh, and I kind of like the idea, and he might be able to get out of here with a good amount of forces and so many Zealots and things. Oh, can he get the Nexus? He may be throwing away a little bit too much here. Throwing down the Void Rays as well, and now focusing it down. This has been a pretty successful attack, I think.
Yep, at the cost of a fair amount of Hydras, a couple of Void Rays did go down in that engagement. Archons are on the way, but these Hydras are still just roaming around with their +1 attack. And charge is just finished. Yeah,
and he was able to pick off a good amount of Void Rays. Maybe stayed just a touch too long there at the end, but overall, I think it was a pretty decent attack for him. That's going to set him back economically, so now he will actually be 2 bases up, and would not be surprised to see Mercy try to build up a force here and maybe try a counterattack, but gotta love Mikasa going after it.
Oh, a counterattack is not exactly what you want to go right here. You lost a fair amount of forces to that engagement and your third, but you've got to realize that because of that attack, that means the economy of the Zerg player is delayed on the 4th. That is why Mercy has yet to move out, and he may build up his forces a little bit and then proceed to move out. But there's a lot of Hydralisks waiting for him. But Zealots with Charge, Danny. Zealots with Charge do amazingly well against Hydras.
Oh, so well, and he's going to need something to buffer that sort of damage. So we'll have to see, and just like that, he's going to add on roaches, and those roaches, I mean, nothing's really fantastic against the Zealot one-on-one, especially if the Zealot's up close, but roaches are definitely one of those things that you enjoy being on the front lines.
Ah, well, a little knowledge bomb for everybody. If a Roach and a Zealot are right next to each other and they engage, the Zealot will win every time.
Same thing with a Stalker. Very, very good stuff.
That's probably why they changed. Didn't they buff the damage of the Roach a while ago, or am I thinking about the supply change at the beginning? Like, way at the beginning.
Oh, well, will we have an engagement? Both these players kind of gearing up, and Mikasa's coming after it. He's got a good... Oh, forces the recall. Nice reaction time, but Mikasa had a great concave coming into that.
Ooh, Mikasa wanted just to pull the trigger right there and then, but Mercy saw it, and he had to use his return, his recall, and, well, now he is trying to defend between his third and his natural, because if this army gets a good... Oh, Mikasa is apparently a female player. Mikasa's showing us the power of females right now.
That is...
But, ooh.
You know what? That doesn't change any of the great things that we have said, because her play has been absolutely impeccable. And this force right now, this Archon's so low back and forth, but it looks like Mercy will be able to clean it up. Hopefully, maybe can pick off that Archon with just 20 HP left. Oh, and leaving that alive is very, very costly, because that will recharge just so much life.
Mikasa had a good surround going, good angle, but the Hydras were in front on the top side. A lot of Hydras died to charge lots. There was nothing to buffer them. There was no pullback at all. Mikasa just little failure on the controlling of the army there.
And now going up to Hive, so we'll have to see what she has in mind there. Now adding on a little bit more roaches compared to what she had earlier. Not quite as many Hydras mixing in.
I'm saying Vipers, because Vipers make Zerg's Roach Hydra just so strong, just so strong.
And with those Archons and Void Rays, they will make prime targets. Don't think she plans on pulling over some Zealot Slicer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that will be worth it.
No, most likely we'll pull over the Void Rays or Archons, but Mikasa actually setting up a little bit better, pulling the Hydras in the back this time. Good choice, good choice. These charge lots have +2 attack done, as well as Mikasa, and Pathogen Glands is coming up, and there's no Infestors on the field yet.
We will have to see how this engagement shapes up. Mikasa right now, good spread from top to bottom, knowing that if this comes in here... Oh, and it looks like she's going to take the force right to it. Oh, and a great time warp going down.
Great time warp, stopping that flank, and Mikasa's pulling back. Managing to kite these Zealots as far as I can see, but the Hydras are still in the front now. The Roaches got pulled back a little far. Mikasa needs to just control the Hydras and pull back, but there's just way too many Archons.
Yes, oh, and now so many Overlords and things going down, and Mikasa is starting to take some critical damage. 18 roaches, I believe that was, are popping out soon, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. Needs to keep the Hydras alive to deal with the Void Rays, but in sweep, oh, good fungals there. Takes down the Archons, a couple of them, and we'll have to see.
Well, one Void Ray did go down, but these Void Rays have been focusing the roaches the whole time. Sorry, I got a little junk in my throat there. But the Infestors came out just in time to catch the Mothership Core, which isn't the best, but the army seems to be being cleaned up by Mikasa. The third took a little bit of damage, but those Zealots are still rampaging.
Yeah, those Zealots are going to town on plenty of drones and things, and I'm not sure if Mikasa will be able to recover, but actually has a supply lead over Mercy right now, somehow, some way, but those roaches are pretty supply heavy.
Oh, those roaches almost getting surrounded by Zealots, and that's something you really don't want to see. But having a nice little choke there, if Mikasa would have had her forces up slightly higher, would have led those Zealots to a little bit earlier of a death. And a couple Proxy Pylons coming in.
Yeah, and looks like Mercy wants to bring it, but those two will not live long enough. And it looks like Mercy is actually pulling back. Mikasa's bank is running pretty low, but with a little bit of a supply lead, now down in workers, however. Interesting to see. Now only 24 army supply for Mercy, 74 for Mikasa. Will she decide to push her advantage?
Well, Danny, since we have a small lapse in action here, apparently Nare is a woman as well.
Yeah, and we apologize for that, you guys. We don't see the, any gender or things on here, but most of the players here are males, and so that's kind of what we default to. And was that an accidental self-kill?
Mikasa just telling that roach, you know what, you failed me, I'm just going to execute you right here and now.
Maybe just a little bit of BM there that the opponent can't see at all, saying, I don't need this roach. And we'll have to see it. A good attack here. This fourth is going to get picked off, and that's a nice little win for Mikasa.
The fourth does get canceled, and there's an Ultralisk Den on the way. Not my favorite type of transition, but definitely one that's going to keep Mercy on his toes. But Archons still do pretty well, especially with 3 upgrades against Ultralisk.
And now adding in a couple of mortals, so it seems like Mercy might have sent in some sort of hallucinated Phoenix and saw it, because now chrono boosting Immortals out. Immortals are pretty good against Ultralisk, especially when you have Archons in the front to buffer that damage.
No, there is no scout on the Ultralisk Den right now. I think that those Immortals are for the roaches initially, as Archons not exactly the best to handle roaches.
Yeah, you definitely could be correct there. We'll have to see this composition from Mercy. Really, Immortals are the only new thing for the majority of the game. Has been Charge Lot, Archon, and, a couple of Stalkers and Void Rays mixed in.
I'm really surprised Mikasa's not getting any Vipers. Vipers would be extraordinary right here, especially with those Infestors that she had earlier on. With those 2 there, lock them down, yank them across, watch your army just eat whatever gets yanked.
Yes, and especially with, high-value units getting in here, because the Zealots are great, but they're not exactly high value. Without the other units, the Zealots can't really do a whole lot. So yanking some of those, those costly Archons, if you can pick off 1 or 2, really great stuff. We have a little roach run by coming up the left side of the map, and to a relatively undefended third, Mercy somehow warped in a Zealot there. Knew that it was coming somehow, not quite sure. That was an amazing little Zealot pull. But these roaches are going to do a little bit of economic damage, and Mercy pulling back, wanting to deal with it.
Mercy had that Zealot on a little bit of a patrolled path on the bottom left-hand corner, just to see if there's any, secret expansions, because you might feel that the Zerg's just been extremely resilient. The Zealots were doing some damage economically when that third base... Ooh, Danny, I just realized.
Oh, yes?
The third base never had gas put back on it, but there's the engagement.
Oh, and losing an Ultralisk right away in a little bit of a tough spot here. Now Fungal's holding everything back. That's going to help quite a bit. 2 Time Warps go down that are pretty good. More Fungals can be used, but it looks like Mikasa's trying to retreat.
Oh, the Void Rays combined with the Immortals completely shut down the Ultralisk transition. And, Mikasa's actually losing Infestors to this. She needs to get those burrowed, or at least something.
Yes, absolutely. Those are such valuable units to have, especially with the amount of energy that a couple of those had.
And after that engagement's all done, chitinous plating is just finishing.
Yes, would have been very, very nice, but those altars were a little bit on their own, and so many Archons. I mean, how do you deal with this, Zerg? Those Archons doing so much bonus damage to everything you have.
Oh, Infestors would probably play a nice role. Infestor Hydra. Some Vipers to pull them into your army would be very nice too, or the Blinding Cloud would be a good choice as well.
I think all of those are good options, but we right now are missing Vipers. Now Aspire is being added on. Maybe knows, oh no, and the Infestors walk into it. They get a little bit of a fungal, but not the best. Now Mikasa trying to flank backwards and trying to figure out some answer for this massive Death Ball army.
Archons just have way too many hit points. Hydralisk, even though they have one of the highest DPSs in the game, just cannot tear through the Archons fast enough. And these Immortals knocking down their attack from 15 to 10 with their shields. That's kind of helping a little bit too.
Yep, and Mercy just let the Archons go to work on this expansion. A little bit rough as now Mikasa's going to lose it. Mikasa may not win this game, is a little bit behind right now. It has kind of swung in Mercy's favor, but has definitely held her own, especially you think with the league differential, but she's doing very well.
Oh, Vipers are on the way for her. This is the answer I've been saying all game and being really, really annoying about. But Mercy's got a Dark Shrine on the way.
We'll have to see. Apparently, Nare and Mikasa practice together. Nare loving that late game Ultralist switch. So now going into Vipers, I think you are correct with that being a better choice overall. We'll have to see how it all plays out, as right now Mercy is adding in less and less Zealots and getting more and more big, powerful units, which is very, very tough to deal with.
This is a little bit of a mistake too here. Vipers, you should probably use your extractors to give Vipers energy, not your hatcheries, even though you have that energy on the Queen from, you know, missing a few injects because you're concentrating on a battle. But I never really like taking health from very important buildings.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of people go mass Evo Chamber. I believe one of the first Heart of the Swarm games that I saw, I believe it was out in Anaheim when they had the beta. Somebody went, I think it was something like 14 Evo Chambers just went down all at once, and Vipers were just constantly replenished. But it looks like this game is going to come to a head. Is this going to be a pretty major engagement? And we'll have to see how this goes.
There's the blinding clouds forcing the units in the back to move up a little bit, but there's just not enough Hydras. There's no Roaches to do the tanking. There's too many Archons, and there's too many Immortals. Mikasa taps out.
Yes, I think a very, very nice game there. Mercy able to bring it home for Overdose, so they are guaranteed the victory in the game, so they will go up by just a little bit. But really, I'm not going to lie, I think that was a little bit more entertaining of a game than what I think a lot of people might have thought when you see Platinum versus Grandmaster. That's like me going against a Grandmaster, and let me tell you, Slicer, that would not be pretty. Mikasa, I think, did a really nice job there.
Yet for the league differential, Mikasa definitely held her own. She almost won it too, that Ultralist transition essentially sealing her fate. And I also want to point out she did not have any armor upgrades for her ground units either. So, I mean, not focusing the Void Rays, let the Roaches die earlier, and then when she came back, then there were Immortals out. It was just like, not necessarily bad decision, it was just good decisions from Mercy, and it just led badly to Mikasa. So, I mean,
think you're correct in all of that, and you have to say that, you know, Mikasa, once she can iron out some of those things, she may shoot up pretty well. I think she definitely played a better game than some of the other players that I've seen in the Diamond or Masters level, so I think she's well on her way, and, you know, Ignotiq Gaming, they're going to get some great information and some great experience from being in this top dog league, so we still have one more game, I believe, Slicer. Do we know what map that is going to be on by chance?
It will be on Heavy Rain Ladder Edition.
Fantastic. So we're going to go to music one more time, and when we come back, we will finish out Ignotiq versus Overdose Gaming. You guys stay right there. We will be right back.
Power ladies from Ignotiq showing their stuff.
Oh, yeah.